So another week, another challenge from our good friends at KSP. This time, it's not anything simple as landing on a celestial body. It's to get an air launch to orbit, where the primary goal is just low Kerbin orbit. Stretch goal is to land your rocket on Mun. Jeb level would be to get your rocket to Duna. And the Val goal, I don't think many people will even attempt, but I would love to see it happen, is Val. And that's get your ALR from Lathe to land on Kerbin. Not too sure if it's meant to be Kerbin to Lathe, because to get your ALR to Lathe and then from Lathe to Kerbin would just be too much. And then with the state of early access, that's just a whole wave of trouble you don't want. It took me ages to come up with a design that wasn't as buggy, as the most common problems I run into would be when I separate the rocket from the plane, the camera doesn't know where to lock onto, or everything just rips to shreds. I start off with a pretty elaborate design. I know my craft is pretty wide, and it's probably going to flap in the process, split in half, but I had nowhere to put the wheels at the front, so I was just doing this test run to test the front wheels to see if they work, and that I can get rid of them successfully upon liftoff. The new front, back and side views are also a blessing in disguise. It helps make everything perfect and aligned so you don't have more mass on one side than the other. I also just use normal jet propulsion, but I do move on to liquid engines later on in the video. I start tweaking the center of mass and center of lift so that they're relatively close to each other, making my plane much easier to get off the ground with the least amount of problem. While strutting everything up so that the rocket attached doesn't fly off or anything. I fast forward to daytime so then I can have a bit more light for this test run. I find that the wheels do successfully decouple and that my craft can lift off, but as you can see I notice an insane amount of wobble. So at the last second I try and launch my rocket, but everything splits in half and it's back to the VAB. So a little handy trick I found out is if you go into the structures tab, you can find the mini struts under the truss section where you can angle and stretch them down your wings, adding additional structure and places you can put more struts, keeping your wings in place, acting more like a plane and not like a bird. I put as many as I can as I want everything to be as stable as possible. And so, on my second attempt, everything went pretty smoothly. The wheels came off, I was able to have a better inclination, and keeping a better acceleration speed. You can see that the structures I aligned along the top of the planes, connecting the struts to the wings, helped everything a tremendous amount. As I keep getting higher and higher, I can't help but wonder, is this going to be a test run, or am I going to make it to orbit? So I decided to let off my rocket early, and everything went so smooth. Except, I added the wrong engine. The engine I added was built for a vacuum instead of an atmospheric burn. So I upgraded the engine and added a little bit more fuel. I also added 2 liquid engines to the plane, just to propel myself that little extra faster. So for my third and final launch with the liquid engines, I don't use too much throttle to get the speed I need. Liftoff is just perfect. With the extra thrust, I'm able to pitch upward, giving myself more altitude before separation. Once I got to a nice altitude and speed, separated my rocket and began a pretty slow burn. I could see I was running out of fuel pretty quickly, so I didn't want to burn too quickly. So I waited till I got to the top of my trajectory to burn the last piece of fuel I had. And I finally made it just about the primary goal. Although without a doubt, I have to say, I would have got further if there wasn't as many bugs. I EVA, but quickly noticed that I can't even get back into the craft. We're bored. But thankfully in early access there is one way I know how to get back from orbit, pretty safely. All you need to do is cannonball into the ocean, and your Kerbal will survive. So I'm afraid that's going to have to be it from me for this week's challenge. Unless of course there's a bug fix right around the corner I'm not aware of. But I sure can't wait to find out what next week's challenge is going to be. Be sure to like and subscribe for more KSP content in the future.